Lesson 6 for November 2 through to 8, the reading of the Word. Sunday, November 3, the people gather. Question, read Nehemiah chapter 8, verses 1 and 2. What should this tell us about how important the Word of God was to the people? Nehemiah 8, beginning at verse 1. Now all the people gathered together as one man in the open square that was in the front of the water gate. And they told Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had commanded Israel. So Ezra the priest brought the law before the assembly of men and women, and all who could hear with understanding on the first day of the 7th month. When the Jews finally completed the building of the wall and moved into Jerusalem, they all gathered in Jerusalem's open square in the 7th month. The 7th month, the month of Tishri, was perhaps the most important month for the Israelites, as it was dedicated to the Feast of Trumpets. That's preparation for God's judgment, the first day of the month. The Day of Tabernacles, that's Judgment Day on the 10th day of the month, and the Feast of Tabernacles, remembering God's deliverance from Egypt and his provision through the journey in the wilderness, the 15th day of the month. The gathering took place on the first day of the month, on which the Feast of Trumpets was celebrated. The leaders called together the men and women of the nation for this special assembly in order, through the reading of the law, to provide an opportunity for them to learn about their God and history. The people invited Ezra to bring the book of the law of Moses before them and to read it. They even constructed a platform, a pulpit, for the occasion. It was not something that the leaders forced on the congregation. On the contrary, they, the people, told Ezra to bring the book. Most likely Ezra read to the people from the books of Moses, which included the law given to Moses on Mount Sinai. Question, read Deuteronomy chapter 31, verses 9 through 13. What did the Lord tell them there, and what lessons can we take from that for ourselves? Deuteronomy 31, beginning at verse 9. So Moses wrote this law and delivered it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who bore the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and to all the elders of Israel. And Moses commanded them, saying, At the end of 7 years, at the appointed time in the year of release, at the Feast of Tabernacles, when all Israel comes to appear before the Lord your God in the place which he chooses, you shall read this law before all Israel in their hearing. Gather the people together, men and women and little ones, and the stranger who is within your gates, that they may hear, and that they may learn to fear the Lord your God, and carefully observe all the words of the law, and that their children, who have not known it, may hear and learn to fear the Lord your God, as long as you live in the land which you cross the Jordan to possess. In Deuteronomy 31, 9-13, Moses told the Israelites that during the Feast of Tabernacles they were to gather and read together the law of God. And it mentions the various groups that should gather: men, women, children, and foreigners living within their gates. And so to finish today, a literal reading of Nehemiah 8:1 says that they gathered together as one man. What does that tell us about the importance of unity among the body of believers? This week's lesson has been read by Dr. Percy Harold from Queensland, Australia. It is brought to you by Hope Channel, the Sabbath School Department, and through the services of Christian Services for the Blind. A video of this podcast also occurs on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.